This is Going Deep. We're going to look forward to the MLB trade deadline. All right, we have 5 big questions here that people have been talking about. We're going to be talking about the insiders that have been tweeting about them or writing articles about them, and then what I think is possible or not possible, or maybe you didn't even hear these things either. So let's see. BS, real, what's going to happen? I'm sure there's a lot of exciting things going to happen in the next 2 weeks, and we'll be talking a lot about it. So this is your first official primer. Now the All-Star game is over of the trade deadline. First things first, will the Minnesota Twins be a seller? That is our first question today, because there are some really interesting assets over there. According to Joel Sherman of the New York Post, the word within the game is that the Twins would love to move money. And also, they're looking for a team to buy them as well. So this is just the nature of the team. Sorry, Twins fans. You mean a lot to me, but we're entering a little bit of a period of flux here. I think if you can hold on to your executive talent, you can hold on to your coaching staff, that there are bright days in the nearer future, but there are some big economic things happening in your organization that is probably going to be partially addressed with the trade deadline. And unfortunately, that is the nature of our game. So I'm sorry. Moving money would obviously mean the guy being paid the most on the team, and that is Carlos Correa. He could possibly be part of that. He would be the biggest movement of money. Byron Buxton said during our All-Star media availability that he would not waive his no trade clause and wants to stay in Minnesota. Attaboy, Buck. But which other players could they move? So Buxton sounds like he's off the table. I think that is the best possible scenario. We already talked about Carlos Correa with $91 million. That's what he's owed over the next 3 years, $91 million. So offloading that actually isn't as hard as it sounds, because that is fairly manageable. It's a 3-year deal as opposed to however long it was at the beginning. But then there are 3 other guys, all pitchers, that are extremely interesting and could be very, very valuable at a late season stretch run here and into the playoffs. And those are All-Star Joe Ryan, who was out there throwing 95 to 97 and blowing four-seam fastballs by guys in the All-Star game, very much on a mission. Then we have Yohan Duran, who we know throws a 98-mile-an-hour changeup, and has been the closer there for years at this point. And Griffin Jax, who is the setup man and has one of the best swing and miss arsenals in the game and would be huge as a bullpen addition. Now, the weird thing is, Ryan, Duran, and Jax all have 2 more years of control. So, like, they're controllable as well. So the haul for these guys could potentially be massive. Now, do I want, for the sake of Twins fans, to lose everybody? No. But I do think that you could lose one. A reliever is probably, like, if you lose Duran, then Jax is your closer, right? If you lose Jax, then you put anybody else in that and setup role for him, right? So you can weather that a little more. They could get some value and still continue to be competitive. So I think bare minimum, that would be a good thing to do. It'd probably be good for the guy going as well, to be in it at the end as well. Correa, though, I think is going to be really hard to move. He's a premium position, and there's a reason that so many teams dropped out of that sweepstakes with him is because of concerns with injuries. I know he's been better lately, but like a team's like 3 years is still a long commitment for a guy that we don't know if his foot's going to hurt for an entire year, and we're just going to lose out on $30 million of value. So it'd be interesting to see kind of what packages are thrown out there, but my guess is one of the 2 relievers are the most likely to go. Joe Ryan also, starting pitching is just way more valuable than the relievers. It's just the way it is. And he's been so good, and he keeps getting better. And they got no Pablo, and they just don't know who their ace is going to be long term. So they don't want this to be a full rebuild. Got to hold on to Ryan. But if he goes, they're going to get a lot for him, because starting pitcher is going to be at a premium at this deadline. So the most likely guys to move, it's either Jax or Durant, probably. All right, question number 2. Will the Yankees trade for a third baseman? They recently DFA'd DJ LeMahieu, and they moved Jazz Chisholm back to second, which says, hey, we be looking who's got a hot corner commodity for your boy. And I know that's Eugenio Suarez, who just makes so much. The fact that he hasn't been a Yankee yet is actually kind of mind-boggling. He fits in that model quite snugly for me, and he's having quite the good year. A couple other guys that were mentioned being connected to the Yankees in their third base opening are the Pirates' Brian Hayes, who obviously is a very controllable, team-friendly, terrible Bob Nutting contract, and Ryan McMahon is on the worst team, one of the worst teams ever. He might be more attainable because of the nature of the team, and a little bit of a down year, though. I think Suarez makes the most sense. I believe he's a free agent pretty soon as well. Fairly affordable. Hayes is a little bit more of a commitment, and I don't necessarily think he's the best fit. He's great defensively, so that's positive. I don't know how his bat works in that lineup, so it'd be really interesting to see what they do. If I were a betting man, I think that unanimously across the league, this guy looks like he's going. We actually have a super chat from Brian B. Do you think 2 more roster spots for a pitcher equals less injuries? Oh, okay. That's a very interesting question. I'm going to just answer it right here in the middle of the segment because I can do that because this is my show. You're asking, do I think that if you're able to put 2 more pitchers on your roster that pitchers will get injured less often? Overall, I do believe that is true because that'll allow you to do 2 things. 1, right now you have 8 men in your bullpen. If you have 9 men in your bullpen, that is a huge boost, especially if it's the guy who's able to throw 1+ innings. I can't tell you, a versatile arm out there, huge. And then if the other guy goes into the starting rotation, now you have a 6-man rotation. That'll save them as well. So I think 2 more pitchers on a team would be massive for pitcher health. Massive. We won't be talking about this down day stuff as much or this built-in rest. So very, very good question. The problem is that would take your roster to 28 total guys, and that means you're paying at least 2 more people. That's $1.5 million on your payroll automatically. That's why every single team would say no, right? But that is a great point. All right, question number 3, moving on. It's been thrown out there by Dennis Lin of The Athletic reporting that the Padres remained enamored with Jarren Duran. I'll be honest, I'm pretty enamored with Jarren Duran as well. Look at that guy. Look at him. He's just a dude. Bruce Bolts he's wearing on his hands are pretty cool too. He's a hustle dude. I don't know. There's something like this look right here, Red Sox all way. But if you put a San Diego Padres, like if you threw the City Connects for the Padres on this guy, he would fit in perfectly again. I just think that those are the 2 teams he should be on. ESPN's Jeff Passan also reports the Padres are willing to go places most other organizations would never consider for Duran. This is quite the courting. I'll be honest. This is some superfan territory. So Jarren Duran, it sounds like if Craig Breslow and the powers that be over there in Boston are ready to play some ball, that the San Diego Padres are willing to give it up and make some moves. And as we know, Padres are not afraid to make some moves. So this feels really, I don't want to say likely, but if we hear anything publicly, I think about the Boston Red Sox having any sort of willingness to field this conversation, I think it's likely. I think he would be a great fit on that team. But I also think that the Boston Red Sox are probably not in a selling mood right now considering they've won 10 straight games. So I'm going to wait and see. We'll see how this first week goes. But I have a feeling that the Boston Red Sox are going to be one of those bubble teams that makes their decision really late in the game. It's usually not a great idea. But it is also a better idea as an executive in a team to remain hopeful as long as possible. That is the situation you want to be in. You want to not have to sell. You want to buy. Being a buyer is a lot more fun than being a seller. So we'll see what happens. But that would be what I'm looking for. I'm looking for any sort of leaked comment from Breslow or any media that is close to the Boston Red Sox mentioning anything about this. If we hear a whisper, that means San Diego Padres have weaseled their way into someone's ear, and it's more likely to happen. Number 4, let's talk about the first place Toronto Blue Jays. This is Ross Atkins, I believe the president of baseball ops. According to Bob Nightingale of USA Today, general managers believe Toronto could be aggressive as any team at the deadline, as I believe they should, because they have overperformed. I believe that it is all sunshine and daisies up there in Toronto in baseball. Nightingale also reports the Blue Jays are looking to a frontline starting pitcher and showed interest in the Diamondbacks' Zach Gallen. Even though he's had a down year, he has started to get a little bit better. Getting a frontline guy would be interesting. I don't know if Sandy Alcantara's in that conversation. He's another guy who is getting stronger as the year goes. But like, if Joe Ryan were available, and we know the Twins have a history of trading with the Blue Jays with Jose Barrios going over there at a deadline, that would be crazy. I don't think they want to get rid of Joe Ryan, but outside of those guys, he would be top of that list. And then they'll take any relievers with experience. So Fisher's thrown good, Little's thrown good in the back end there, and they have Jeff Hoffman that's thrown well since he's had some clunkers at the beginning. So just getting some continuity in the pitching staff and shoring that up is important to them. But the lineup's been pretty good. They've been a lot better. I got to give them props. Toronto is really doing it. They're taking advantage of their window and their moment. So I think it's entirely possible they get Gallen. It's just what he then provides. Feels like there's something going on physically with Gallen a little bit. His effectiveness has diminished very quickly. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But I do think they are going to add at least, I'll say the Blue Jays add at least 2 guys. That is my prediction. And as we know from the prior segment, I'm very good at predictions. All right, last little question here. Is Adolis Garcia on the block? Hero of the World Series just a couple years ago, 2023. Several teams have inquired about Adolis Garcia ahead of the upcoming trade deadline, according to Francis Romero, Grover's team. John Heyman of the New York Post reports the Rangers, who are 3.5 games back of the third AL wildcard spot, are very unlikely seller, which is a little bit surprising at this point. But Garcia is having another down year, slashing .234, .279, .404 with 13 home runs to the break. So not what we're used to expecting from Adolis Garcia, but could we have another Jorge Soler, Eddie Rosario situation over in the Braves, where they just go get a bunch of depth, guys who've been successful in the past and also good at the big moment? Like, we don't need him to hit 400. We just need him to hit a home run in the 8th inning when we need it, which is what Adolis Garcia does. He has that aura about him. So do I think Adolis moves? Not after hearing them say very unlikely to move anybody, but who knows what is a package they could put together for him. And again, he is getting pretty close to free agency himself. So do I think it's likely? No. Do I think it's possible? Yes, but I think we're going to see a Rangers team that generally holds pat and maybe adds a peripheral little a parallel or a lateral trade, similarly to like what the Rays and the Mariners do with themselves all the time, where they just trade each other's version of the player because they play different positions or something. Like, it might be something like that, maybe even in a division, but I wouldn't expect a huge splash from the Rangers or Adolis Garcia. They're not giving me a lot of hope, at least for exciting things happen. I think the big ones are going to be Blue Jays and seeing what the Twins do. I think those things are going to be the things I'm looking forward to the most. And that is looking forward. That is going deep. Let me know what you guys think. Other guys in the league that might be moving, might be staying put. Let me know down in the comments, because guess what? All of you combined watch a lot more baseball than I can physically do, and I just rely on you because you guys know ball, and it means a lot to me. All right. Thank you.